and the administration is going to reinstate their naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. And for any ship that is going to be traveling by, shall be paying a 20% fee. Whether to be a toll or not is still a question that everyone is asking. On the other side, the war has taken a different toll. We see the Sana'a airport in Yemen coming under attack. Some say it was done by the Saudi Arabia administration. Some say that it was the Yemen's national government. On the other side, Saudi Arabia's Aba International Airport was attacked by the Houthis in a vice versa technique. I want to begin with these updates with Norman Floyd Barnes. What are some of the updates that you're hearing from the United States administration and all over the world? A very good morning to you, Norman.
Greetings, good morning. We wake up to another day of confusion. The United States government is increasing their attacks, and Iran is responding by attacks in the two neighboring states. And basically what's happening is the countries that Iran believe that supports the U.S. Provide base for their launching, their ships, their planes. They are coming under attack, and the UAE is back in the picture again. The UAE is taking tolls, and they are threatening to take direct action themselves with Iran right across the river. So the situation in Yemen now has also become more interesting. So now the fight is now moved to Yemen. The airport was hit. That was the planned response. So I see now that this situation is now spiraling into a regional battlefield. We're going to have some issues going on because now outside of Iran, we have Yemen. We got stuff going on in Syria. We got stuff going on in Lebanon. We have stuff going on, Saudi Arabia. So these countries are not going to sit back and just wait for America to just protect them, deal with them. Yes, the United States is striking, but every missile that strikes or hit a target or the critical infrastructure, it causes a reflex by Iran. Iran has a plan. They seem to have a response, and the response is hit the bases where these countries are supporting the United States. It's going to get real nasty. I'm seeing this happening, and we may see the Red Sea come involved in this that thoroughfare, which I fear is going to happen. And this Strait of Hormuz, the United States claiming that they're going to keep it open. Iran is saying that it's closed. The U.S. wants to charge a tariff, a sea tariff or a fee for escorting or ensuring that these tankers can get through. But I'm not sure that's a good move because it attracts more attention than anything else. We're dealing with drones now. We're not dealing with little putt boats, mini boats, or plane, ships or whatever. So we're dealing with drones. So it's very convenient to launch a drone attack versus putting a manned vehicle in there to make attack. So this can become a very protracted war. It's a war now, and it could lead. I don't know how long the rest of the year we could be doing this thing back and forth. I don't see any type of solution. The word here in the United States is that the Trump administration believes strategy right now, it appears to be strategy, is that we will bombard them, we will pound them, we will hurt them, we will tear up their infrastructure, we will put pressure on them so they get tired of it and say, I quit and I come, let's go to the table, let's do a negotiation, some terms of peace. That is the strategy that's being applied right now. I personally do not believe that it's going to be successful because we have not seen any indication that the Iranians is really concerned or bothered by anything that has been done so far, even the bombing of the nuclear plant, even the destroying of the water sanitation things. These things just basically has a response. And the response is basically, okay, you're gonna punish me, Iran saying, you're attacking us, killing us, destroying us. We're gonna do the same thing, put the pressure on you through our immediate reach. We can reach over here to Yemen. We can reach over here to UAE. We can reach Kuwait. We can do that. So they are going to use that pressure
Right.
to create a situation where the people and the countries over there are going to have to negotiate directly with them and not through the United States. So that's where we are.
Right. Thank you, Norman Floyd Barnes, a very interesting opener to today's international affairs. As we break down the news, try to connect the dots to understand the geopolitical scenario. Of course, Defense Ministry of Yemen has released a statement saying that the Houthis have prevented Yemeni flights to land at the Sana'a airport, and then allowed the Iranian plane to land, which is a violation of the Yemeni territory. As a result, the airport runway was targeted, as said by the Yemen's defense ministry. However, in response, the Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sari vowed in a post through the U.S. social media company X that it will not pass without retaliation and punishment. Moving away from the Strait of Hormuz, much of the ambiguity between so many of these nations is because of the strait. Today, we see that it is inching towards the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. It is located on the waters of the Red Sea with Yemen. Western Yemen is under the control of the Houthis, and this is where some of the issues are coming about. The Houthi movement yesterday has accused Saudi Arabia of launching airstrikes against the international airport in Sana'a, and they said that they will vow revenge. Turning to Rashid Alambuya in the studio, we often do not talk about the Yemen or the axis of evil, as they call it, but Iran, and then Hezbollah in Lebanon, and then, of course, Houthis in Yemen. This is how it has been operating. And, of course, this time it is time to start questioning what will happen if the canal is stopped, if the Red Sea is impaired as it is, as we see it for the last 3 months in the Strait of Hormuz, or how do you understand these developments as of recent?
Thank you so much. So, yeah, you said, I mean, Norman also explained that we can see a regional shape of this war and regional conflict is erupting. So, and now, as he said, the Yemen has been getting involved. I mean, and there is a chances that the Bab al-Mandeb Strait also may be closed sooner. And ultimately, it's gonna impact like the commercial vessels who are passing through this Red Sea and Persian Sea. So, I think, yeah, I mean, the Donald Trump declaration of like imposition of 20% tariff for the safe and secure passage of the commercial vessels, it is shocking development, particularly for the oil market. And yesterday we have seen like nearly 10% increase of the crude oil prices. So I think we are going back to the square again, and ultimately this regional conflict, as Norman also opined, it would be protracted conflict, and it would take a regional shape. So unfortunately, I mean, there is a MU signed, but MU has been violated. Particularly, I mean, I think everybody knows that the main issues is Israel. Main issues is culprit behind the muddling of the water is Netanyahu and his attacks on Lebanon front, but then Iran has to respond because the ceasefire was broken in Lebanon front. Then Iran has to respond through attacking in the commercial bases, which also violating the Iranian safe and secure passage rather than American instigated a passage close to Oman's side. So that's why this MOU has been broken, and unfortunately we have seen this development. But ultimately, I don't know what gonna be impact, but this impact gonna be, I know we have a midterm election coming in USA in November, but I think Donald Trump is not considering that anymore. I think he has becoming more and more aggressive, and he is becoming more and more unpredictable, more and more I mean, he's actually there is not short of any predictability in his comments and in his thinking, and actually that is how we never know what's gonna happen next. But so this is how we end up in a situation which is turning towards a protracted conflict, and I know this may turn to a bigger instabilities in the heart of the Middle East for a long time.
Of course, once again, very crucial and important to understand that it's going to be a protracted war, a long-running war, as we see with other wars of this planet as well. There's Ukraine-Russia running for 4.5 years, and without any kind of resolution. But it is going to have a very drastic effect on not only on those who are dependent on the Strait of Hormuz, as well as those in Iran, as well as the United States. I also want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes how you're seeing, as US President Donald Trump has notified Congress that the war and the hostilities are once again continuing, and the effective timing right before the midterm elections. We still see the confrontation spanning in. The 60-day time period did not hold. The both sides started confrontations just before the 30-day mark. Want to ask you, what are some of the effects you see in the long run that common Americans must face because of the situation that the administration is creating in the Middle East? Norman.
Yes, how this thing is playing, how it is we went through this process. The War Powers Act is in place where Congress have to approve, supposedly approve, but the president found a way to skirt around that to avoid that by claiming the ceasefire. So the ceasefire is in, or is no longer active, but it's still considered ceasefire. So he's considering a new, fresh restart of the military aggressions. So basically, the attacks will increase, but I have a very bad feeling that these attacks will not solve anything. It will get to a point where the United States will have to make a decision on putting troops in the area. Now, the issue with that is now we have a real problem because they do not have an exit plan. They have an entry plan, but they do not have an exit plan, meaning you cannot put troops in that region, in that area, or the area they want, and expect them not to come under harm's way. They will be under the terrible situation. There's been statements like, you put a troop, we want your troops to come over here because we'll send them back in body bags, dead. They're not going to survive. I thoroughly believe there will be a concerted attempt to basically draw American troops on the ground to create a situation where the American citizens will not tolerate their sons and daughters being into a war to which they don't understand, they don't believe in, they don't see any benefit from. So the situation is, in order to control the strait, in order there, you have to put boots on the ground. Historically, no one has ever in Iran, in the many times and ages, have been able to conquer that country. If you put troops there, they will either be decimated or they will be compromised in that situation. So it's not going to be a beneficial thing for the United States. We were trying to not put troops on the ground by bombing them into submission, but I don't think that's going to work with Iran. It just hasn't. They haven't cracked. They appear to be ready for this type of bombardment, this type of punishment, and they fear. Actually, they are banking on. They're making a bet that the United States will crack first. They believe the Americans are soft. They don't like to give. They don't like to commit themselves to something, and they are not in this thing. They know that the American people are not supporting this. So this is going to be a situation very difficult for this administration to get over and deal with, because right now there's no solution. They're only doing things back, bombing, hitting, killing, doing whatever, and it has no effect, no real effect on these big issues. The issue is the economic situation of the world is being stranglehold by this area. And commerce need to go through. The world is dependent on the commerce and the ability to do trade and movement of goods and services from that region. So it's going to bring a lot of issues, like I mentioned before. Countries going to have to decide what's best for them instead of staying with the coalition of, the Western coalition on dealing with this stuff. Unless they're ready to go in and put boots on the ground, we're going to have real problems. And, the gas prices, everything is going to go up. It's going to go up twice as amount as we move forward. And that creates other problems. And now we got the issue with the Red Sea. I see that's going to decimate the whole region, and there will have to be moves made to survive for the people over there. They're not going to let this happen. When they get to that point, we get to that point, you're going to see countries separate themselves from the United States and work out a deal for themselves, because obviously we have not been able to be successful in dealing with the Iranians. The Pakistan is doing a yeoman's job trying to bring people to the table, but it appears that Iran don't want the deal, and the United States don't care about the deal. They don't want that. They want to go at it for each other and see which one the last man standing. And right now, everybody loses if this thing continues. Everyone loses, because it will create a gap that is going to be very difficult over the next 50 years to recover from. Because every day we go and we can't get the movement going on, that's another day backwards. We're not seeing it quite yet. We're going to see the results of this around January, February, if this thing continues going on. It's going to hit us hard. The economic situation is going to hit us hard, and things going to start shutting down. Business is going to have to fold, and government's going to have to make concessions, and we're going to be in a real problem. That's the problem, when we can't get the resources we need, and we have to now strike out and go to war.
Right. A very interesting take on the current situation from Norman Floyd Barnes. As we head for a break, afterwards we will look at some of the situation that arises from having a prolonged war from around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned for more on this.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantho.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
International Affairs. I'm of course joined with Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C., while we have Professor Rashad Alambuya here in the studio with us. I want to ask Professor Rashad, you were hearing Norman Floyd Barnes in stating that it's going to be a long-ended war with both sides not giving that importance one should get of a memorandum of understanding between the two nations. Pakistan has done its job in trying to mediate both of the sides. Being neighbor to Iran, it has stepped out in the benefit of both countries to understand each other's mutual benefit. However, US President has, in recent times, he was at the NATO summit. We've seen some of his commentary calling out the leaders of Iran as scum. The minute he did that, the economic condition worsened. 6% in the rise of Brent crude oil, which is now currently at somewhere around $80 a barrel, which is still quite so high if you compare for the last couple of months or years. On the other side, one can imagine previously, before this war broken out, we usually see that the United Arab Emirates to be a hub of investment from all around the world for those to keep their investments safe, secure, and in rolling condition. However, due to this war, as we've seen in the past 3.5 months, I am sure that business houses would rethink and reallocate where they should conduct their operations. Or at least, how do you analyze this issue, a fallback of the business leaders in a global community, especially in the outback of this war?
Absolutely. Like, you know, this protected war actually have tremendous effect on the whole of the Middle Eastern economy. As you said, like the UAE, who was supposed to be attract lots of foreign investment earlier, now no longer a safe zone. And I think when this war actually taken place and when Iran attack on the US bases in the different parts of the Middle Eastern countries, lots of business tycoon actually left Middle East and they withdrawn lots of their investment from the United Arab Emirates. So I think the biggest stake for this country, and I have heard some of the investment actually now going towards Turkey, because Turkey is comparatively safer from the heart of conflict zone. So I think the UAE, making lots of mistake by actually taking the Israel as a safer allies, or taking US as a more than safer allies than the ignoring the Iranian call. Like, so Iran has been in the region for a long time, and I have seen that the Qatari Prime Minister and also the Oman's Prime Minister, they are more pragmatic approach they have taken. So Iran, less attack has taken place in the Qatar or Oman zone, because they have understand that they have to stand, they have to work with Iran because Iran is there for centuries, for years after years. So UAE actually taking that would be very fatal for their whole the economy, and I think the migrant workers currently working in the UAE from the Bangladesh, from India, Pakistan, lots of migrant workers currently working UAE and in many of these Gulf countries. So when this economy gonna hit, this huge number of migrant workers will be also affected and impacted, and that could gonna hit the currencies and remittances flow to these countries of Asia and Africa as well. So it will have a cycle reaction all over the world, and we might see another increase of the gas prices, or another increase of our electricity prices, because we depend on still a lots of fossil fuel generated electricity here in Bangladesh and in Africa, and also the fertilizer, as you said, if this war continues another couple of months or another couple of weeks, we're going to see the huge impact on fertilizer supplies, and that's going to increase the food prices a lot. So food security will also be threatened. So I don't know, why American population, American citizens who are basically very conscious, they should have stopped this madness by this Republican president, who have been, who actually not, taking the consideration of the the House of Representatives and Senate there, because lots of bills taken against Donald Trump, but unfortunately he is not considering this, and there is a huge drop of his acceptance in USA. He's having the lowest acceptance as a president of USA. So even the USA citizen doesn't support this unjust war. And when Iranian football team was visiting USA, we have seen this normal citizenry, they were hugely supported Iranian team, and even the Mexico government, Mexico citizenry, they also supported Iranian. So as a whole, the general people, the general citizenry is not supporting this unjust war, and there is a huge lowest, reduce of acceptance for Israeli position, Israel Israel self-defense position is no longer American citizens are buying that argument anymore. So that's the biggest defeat for the Israel and U.S. government. So I think U.S. government should accept the public pulse and should stop this madness. And this I mean, yesterday Donald Trump tweet is another madness. I think you cannot allow this 20% tariff for safe passage of the commercial ship. That's gonna increase the oil prices, and ultimately it will gonna hit the pockets of the normal U.S. citizenry, the general public of the U.S. citizenry. So I think this is a complete madness, and I hope the midterm election should take place immediately, and the House of Senate and Congress jointly impeach this mad president. Otherwise, we can see this is the biggest threat for the mankind, because we cannot afford any protracted war anymore after this Ukraine-Russia war.
Of course, important updates once again from Rashid Alam Bhuiya regarding breaking down of the business community and how they see that the Middle Eastern nations have become very volatile, very insecure for their investments. Turning to Norman Floyd Barnes, for a fact, Dr. Rashid Alam Bhuiya was mentioning Israel and its coming situation. Israel's ruling coalition announced earlier this week that the general elections for the Knesset, the country's parliament, will be held originally scheduled as on October 27, will not be brought forward, according to Israel's state-owned Kan TV. According to that, the election period will officially begin Friday, July 17th, when the Knesset will go into recess. But that is an internal Israeli affair. What I want to ask Norman is how you analyze today the situation in Gaza is reflected in parts of southern Lebanon, parts of southern Iran as well. We see Bandar Abbas, very popular strategic key point installation that has been coming under attack for the last 3 days by the US, as the new round of Lebanon and Israel talks have pursued today, which would be the 6th round of negotiations between Lebanon and Israel. Really, to understand a meeting, a 6th round is required to understand what kind of difficulties, if not intentions. I know it's a difficult question to answer, but it is reflecting how they see Gaza. Gaza has been completely destroyed. One can only imagine what kind of hell on earth it would be to live in those conditions, as it is slowly starting to be reflected in other communities, as I mentioned. How are you seeing this, Norman? Will the world continue to remain silent while more nations are destroyed by the blunt force of Israel and its genocidal commitments? Norman?
Yes, this situation in Gaza, the world, through technology and other means of communication, the world is now seeing. It's no more surprise. Gaza has been decimated. They are looking to basically completely destroy everything that resembles Gaza, so they can go in, Israelis, United States, the coalition, whatever, Europe, to go in there and they can rebuild it on their terms. In order to do that, you have to get rid of the people. So they have to move the people or get rid of the people. So what you're seeing is exactly what's going on, and basically to create a situation to get a clean slate so they can rebuild and start on their terms. The new Israel. I have concerns that this may not work out the way they want it to be, because you're talking about centuries of people living in that area, and you're looking at the whole region. And Israel is not a favorable partner to the region. So they would never have peace. Regardless, if you kill them down to the last man, you would never have peace, because people remember, people have a socialist, people understand that what was done was pure evil. It was to a point. They took a situation and then now they use it as an excuse to do a land grab. So this is something that the United States and Israel has to understand, that it's very difficult to go into someone's backyard and take over the environment and to control it. It's going to be very costly, militarily, economically. and social status, and your whole perspective, how the world sees you. You look at you give up the appearance that you're being a colonizer, a oppressor, and no one is going for that. Them days are over. The tolerance level is very low, and you will see more damage done in regarding to the situation if that moves forward. So right now, it's a mess. It's a hot mess. It's been devastated. It's been destroyed. They hopefully they want to beat the will of the people out of that. At the same time, the hunt for Hezbollah and their enemies goes on. But as you see, now it's coming regional thing. We down to Yemen now. We Lebanon, all over. It's never going to end. It's never going to end like this. It's not going to end at the negotiation table because the trust is not there. There's no trust, and without trust, nothing is really going to happen. You say and do something today, and tomorrow you do a complete reversal. We're seeing it every day. You're going to stop this fighting, and then you kill.
Right.
You're going to talk about terms, but you destroy my infrastructure. So it's not going to really work because no one really believes that either parties on both sides that they have good intentions for them. They want to get what they want. If they can't get it, they're going to make sure that you can't live in the area at all. So Gaza, I pray for the Palestinians, the people. We always talk about they needed their own state. The situation right now is that the Israelis are creating a situation where it'll be impossible for the Palestinians to have their own state. They've taken away their whole lifeline, their infrastructure, and their potential for the future. So let's watch this situation because that is the tone is going to be across the whole Middle East, West Asia area if this thing continues. Land grab, destruction, rebuild at their own terms, and constant fighting with the native people, the indigenous people, to maintain something they stole and taken away.
Right. As I make from Norman Floyd Barnes' statement, an excellent sum up of the current situation in the Middle East, including all those in favor and against the Palestinian statehood ever since 2023, October 7th. And that attack has led to what we see today, an entire Middle Eastern region coming into a destabilization as the day goes on.
Never since the Iran attack taken place, we haven't seen the Gaza Peace Board and also nothing happening in that front. So, I mean, the Gaza's population remain left behind, and although USA committing some of the nations to be part of the Gaza Peace Board, we haven't seen any more development in there. So, still a biggest humanitarian crisis is going on. Each and every day people are dying, and also Israel is now trying to doing same things, reciprocate same things in the West Bank as well. So they're now targeting the West Bank settlement.
And almost removing all settlements in the West Bank.
So similar reciprocating effect they did in the decimation of the Gaza, and now they're targeting West Bank. So I think the Gaza Board of Peace and USA taking the responsibility. They're going to establish some peace there, but we haven't seen anything since the Iran war started. And secondly, my questions to Norman is like, so how now gonna be after this ceasefire is broken, how the world now gonna believe the American negotiators? Like for example, when they bring the Iranian negotiator to the Switzerland and they bring the Iranian negotiator in Oman, and all of a sudden they attacked. And we have also heard that the Araksi and the Ghalibab there was a plot to kill them as well when the negotiation was taking place. So why on earth now gonna believe the American attempt to negotiation, and also as a self-contradictory precedent? Has America ever have to have this kind of self-contradictory precedent in their recent history anymore? And how gonna we internationally agreed principle, internationally agreed respect for the negotiation. So nothing is actually, we haven't seen any status quo anymore. We haven't seen, everything is broken. Every diplomatic, courtesy, diplomatic complementary relation, everything is decimated in the recent past.
Right. Norman, as Rashid Alam was asking you, how do you see it?
No credibility.
Yeah, no
Right.
credibility,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the credibility is gone. The U.S. I'm gonna tell you straight up, the credibility is gone. And the administration appears that they don't really care. They wants to keep the administration. Trump administration is very good at creating distractions, basically changing up, doing different things, unpredictable. So basically, at best, they will be labeled as unpredictable, unstable. And so with that, no countries will want to do serious negotiations with a unstable and a destructive and unpredictable government. So as I mentioned before, that means the countries that we had in that region now have to second guess it. Hey, I don't know this going to work out, so we need to strike our own deal. So I see them basically creating their own backdoor deals because the trust and the credibility has left the United States and its efforts on the international market.
Thank you for
that.
that.
Thanking Norman Floyd Barnes. Excellent commentary regarding the trust and the credibility. I want to have a very last question with Professor Rashid Alam Bhuiya as we come to the very end of the program. Just to ask you, the people versus their governments. We've seen it have a very vast effect in the last couple of years, not only here in Bangladesh, in the US as well. The No Kings protest has gone about. Trust and credibility on an international stage is losing out because of coming back to war after the ceasefire. So just to ask you, do you think that the people will prevail over their government and the people's rights, the people's voice will always win, especially when we have someone as dubious as Donald Trump in power? What do you think?
Thank you so much. So I think globally we have seen that democracy is in biggest crisis. Apart from some Nordic countries and also England, none other countries now actually practicing the real spirit of liberal democracy anymore. And America, which is supposed to be one of the biggest patronizer of democracy worldwide, promotion of the democracy worldwide, American democracy is in biggest struggle at the moment. You know, we can see the American democracy is based on the independence of the House of Commons, the Senate and Representative. They work together and they create some check and balance among their work relation with the president. Now this check and balance no longer is actually working there. And we have heard that from the political science background, we have read those stories like when an authority is unchallenged, when the authority doesn't follow the rule of law, then it is total absolutism of the power, and that it is total fascism, total authoritarianism, ultimately, which is now we can see a lot in the American current political regime at the moment. So I think at this current situation, the American citizens they had to come up strongly and reclaim their democracy, reclaim and ousting this kind of bullshit leaders, this kind of madness leaders from their democratic system. Otherwise, the American people, their own struggle for democracy will be questioned from the different parts of the world. And American hegemony, American patronization of democratic project in different parts of the world will no longer work if America itself is in the biggest state of democratic shortage in their country. So I think American citizenry has to come up strongly and stop this madness from the helm of their international and the national affairs and international affairs by the madness leaderships. Yeah.
Right. Thanking you, Professor Rashid Alam Bhuiya, for your attendance, your contributions on international affairs, for giving us time on this day. I thank you for being here. I also thank Norman Floyd Barnes for joining us with the perspectives of Washington, D.C., of providing how the administration is planning and preparing in that part of the world. Before I finish, I want to have an honorable mention. Actor Sam Neill was best known for his roles in the Jurassic Park films, has died tragically at the age of 78. His family says the loss was sudden and unexpected. From here in our company and Bangladesh, we offer condolences to this late actor. He was best known for playing Dr. Alan Grant in the first Jurassic Park films. In the different contexts, as we know that millions have been affected by the recent flash flooding, in the current context, it's a precaution to keep dry food, pure water, medicines and other important household items close at hand in areas where water is rising. With that being stated, I'm Shamsul Alam Pantho signing out on International Affairs.